Russ, I think from this standpoint, it's a great location. It's a great project. As far as the Elder Mill property is concerned, I think from my standpoint, the Elder Mill would be a higher priority simply because of the historic value, from that standpoint. I know that when we put together the proposal previously that you described, that I think was a time that the state cut out those funds due to the budget reduction, and we didn't have as much of an opportunity to get state grants or state funds to support that. And if I remember correctly, somewhere about $30 million was in the budget, I recall at one time, from the state level to support those types of projects. But at any rate, with that being said, I know as far as the funds available from the county and looking at what we currently have with our budget situation, our previous splost funding for Parks and Recreation was in the 204, and I think that was $5 million, was in the 2004 splost. $4 million of that was spent for payment of debt on our park site, Veterans Park. Remaining dollars were spent in various and sundry ways, and I think, Commissioner John, correct me if I'm wrong, but I think we spent another amount of money that came from fund balance and from splost revenue to support perhaps a baseball field, support some lighting, support some other things there at the park. But currently we have approximately $27,000 remaining in the splost 004 funds. In the 09 splost referendum, there was about remaining, we had money set aside there for the payment of the GO bond, for the payment of the park site. I think it's about $1 million, 1.1 left for all projects, including land acquisition and whatnot for Parks and Recreation. With that being said, that's the last 6 years, at 1.1 million, I think. Now, to come back to answer specifically to your question there, I would like to see, from a personal standpoint, that Elder Mill secured, if we could get it with some way or another. I think that would be a good asset for the county. Funding available for that and a willing seller, that's something that needs to be determined. I would support a citizen's attempt to try to secure that for the county.
First, let me say thank you for all of you coming out on a cold night. Getting to the questions, for me, I think I've always been very cognizant and supportive of the south end of the county. I think my votes indicate that on certain rezones. So I've always considered not just that part of the county, but in Oconee County in its entirety as important. And I'll start at the bottom. I would support and have supported a citizen or citizens trying to make something happen down in that area. I certainly not stop that. As far as protecting the area, I think we said, because I know I've heard my colleagues say it, we were very interested in the mill, but you got to have somebody who's willing to sell it to us. When the issue came to us back in 2007, if I remember right, and I was going back over notes today, that was a big project that was brought to us. And I don't remember, I think there was one person, there was a possibility of a donation, but that kind of fell apart because of some family issues. In the write-up that I got and my colleagues, that was a 10 to 15 year project to acquire those properties, with 5+ years to find the financing. But we were always committed to look at that mill, to try to get that as a historic place. But, make a long story short, the person who owns it has to be willing to sell it. And I don't think back then they were willing to sell it. I mean, they were looking at it as an investment, trying to sell it, and I think there were some issues with their families, but yeah, I mean, if that was available, we would certainly be interested. But again, those property owners, not just some off away from that what I call the bullseye, where the bridge is, but certainly where that mill is, they've got to be willing to sell it.
I think my colleagues have both spoken very correctly. As I recall, Russ, we wrote you a letter and told you that we were willing to support whatever citizens could make happen, whatever grant could be made to happen out there. Frankly, at whatever size project you wanted it to be. I think we've also made it very clear, at least, I think all of us have said we'd like to save the mill. When it's for sale, I think we may find a way to, under some reasonable circumstances, we'll find some way to protect the mill. But if you're talking about the project that was planned, you scared me to death. I'm trying to maintain a 6.68 mil rate that we've got in the county. And one of the maps that was presented to us, one of the plans that was presented to us in this includes things like the Joseph and Elizabeth Dolan Nature Center, picnic shelters, Pioneer Campgrounds, the Dr. Charles Morgan Interpretive Center, the Mary Beatrice Hunter Museum and Info Center, picnic shelters, Martha Elder Harris Trails. Funding is just not there in Oconee County. We still got debt on parks that we've got, and we just can't, I just don't see any way we can undertake a project like this in the near term. But I think we all would like to protect the mill if it becomes available. We certainly want to do that. If you want, I'll pass that map around. I don't know if anybody in the audience has seen it, but just if y'all will just pass it around. I'm very, very interested in obtaining the mill when the time comes. I don't know just how we'll finance it, but it's an important piece, and I think we'll try to do it.
Be nice to get the mill. Again, it's not for sale. It's also being preserved right now. It's not like it's a rush. When this came up with the land for sale a couple weeks ago at the agenda setting meeting, being rushed in a situation to plot down $200,000 in our current economic environment was just not something I could see us doing. A citizen group going and doing this would be a great thing. And I don't know what you mean by support, but I would encourage anybody who's interested in participating in this with funds or donating land to really, I think it would be a good project for them to be involved in.
Thanks. I want to second Commissioner Horton and thank y'all for being here tonight and take it a step further, and thank you for your thoughts and prayers while I've had surgery and been out. It's been a lot to me. I am supportive of this park and the future that it could bring and the historical value it could bring to the county. But as my other colleagues have said, there's no funding for this. I would support a citizen group getting together and trying to arrange for grant funding, and I'm sure everyone up here would be willing to do what they can to support that project.
Next question.